The story of the pomegranate garden. On Tuesday, it was Gordia's turn, the fourth daughter of the old man, to entertain Borom with her story. Borom entered the old man's pomegranate garden, where he was offered a basket full of pomegranates, and treated to a glass of red pomegranate juice. Gordia, aiming to captivate the king's attention, began her story as follows. 5 young friends embarked on a journey from the city of Multan. Among them was a prince who had lost his former glory, the son of a wealthy merchant, a skilled well-digger and canal builder capable of splitting mountains with a pickaxe, a talented carpenter, who crafted intricate carvings, and a horticulturist who transformed gardens into breathtaking works of art. The merchant's son ensured their comfort throughout the journey, and together, the 5 friends set out on their adventure. The caravan journeyed through the land, where the soil exuded a musky scent, until it arrived at a city that resembled paradise. Along the way, the caravan leader halted at a spot with pleasant weather. The 5 young companions opted to explore the city, strolling through its gardens and resting by the streams to ease their weariness. Eventually, they arrived at a pagoda adorned with a grand stone statue of Mani the Prophet, crafted by Manichaean artists. The statue's magnificence left all who beheld it in awe. A few steps away, they encountered a statue of a stunning lady, sculpted with such skill that her beauty surpassed imagination. This particular statue stood out among the others, incomparable in its allure. Atop the stone idol was inscribed Kamru, signifying woman's love in the Hindu language. The 5 friends were captivated by the sight of this stone statue, especially the prince, who was enamored by its beauty. Despite the darkness of night, the prince couldn't tear his gaze away from the statue. As night fell and the stars illuminated the sky, the weary travelers wished to return to the caravanserai for rest. However, the prince's infatuation with the stone statue held him spellbound. He confessed to his companions, "I am no longer in control of my emotions. My heart has shattered like glass against this stone statue. I dedicate my life to this stone idol, and I believe my love for this stone lady will endure until my last breath." His friends, taken aback by his declaration, urged him to forsake this irrational love. Yet, love rarely heeds advice. Resolved to stand by their friend, the companions chose to spend the night with him in the pagoda, unwilling to leave him alone in his infatuation. In the morning, the sky turned blue, and the friends decided to go to the city to find a skilled person who could convince the prince to give up his endless love. They hurriedly went to every neighborhood, asking the residents in every street. The search became tedious for them until they finally reached an old man. The old man revealed that the stone statue was actually a castle carved from the face of a beautiful girl, hidden from the public eye. She resided in a wooden hut on top of the mountain inside the castle, ensuring no one saw her. Only an old flower seller visited her regularly. When the king grew weary of his duties, he would visit the castle, put up a ladder, and spend time with the beautiful girl. After enjoying pure wine and flirting with her, he would spend the night there before descending the ladder. The old flower seller was the only one allowed to visit the girl and deliver flowers to her. She held the secret of reaching the lady, but had not shared it with anyone. The prince's friends sought out the old flower seller and eventually located her. They inquired about the path to reach the lady. The merchant's son also offered the old flower seller as many silver coins as he could to persuade her to assist them. Eventually, the old flower seller agreed to cooperate with them. Meanwhile, whenever the old woman wanted to take a bouquet to the lady, the gardener would prepare a bouquet for the old woman to deliver. Finally, one day, the young gardener wove a bunch of beautiful and colorful flowers together like a carpet, and gave them to the old woman to deliver to the lady. The old woman presented the bouquet to the beautiful lady, which was so exquisite that it left everyone in awe. When the lady beheld the bouquet, she was speechless with amazement. Turning to the old woman, she inquired, "Who created this stunning floral arrangement? This level of artistry cannot be yours, as this bouquet appears to be beyond human capability." It is as if angels themselves crafted these flowers. What is the secret behind this intricate display? The old woman replied, I crafted this bouquet myself, and it is like a garden that blossomed in my hands. It is a gift unique to you. The lady challenged her, saying, if you truly made this bouquet, then demonstrate your skill by creating a smaller version before me. When put to the test, the old woman struggled to replicate the bouquet and eventually confessed, I cannot deny the truth any longer. A talented young man has been staying with me, and he is the true artist behind this masterpiece. What you saw was his simplest creation. Impressed by the young man's talent, the lady gave some coins to the old woman and instructed her to pass them on to the young artist as a token of appreciation when she returned home. The old woman returned home happily and rewarded the gardener. Upon hearing this news, the gardener was as happy as a newly blossomed flower, and went to meet his other friends to share the story. When his friends heard the news, they visited the old woman that night and gave her gold coins to hear the story of the prince's love. The old woman who heard this story was speechless. She said to them, it is better not to talk about it anymore and to put it out of your mind. This is a foolish idea. Then she added, the castle where this stone idol is located is inaccessible to anyone who wants to go there. Indeed, many have lost their lives trying. The lady who resides in this castle is even more heartless than the stone idol. She has taken the lives of countless lovers out of lust, and anyone who mentions her name risks having their tongue removed. It is pointless to pursue this. It is best to forget these foolish thoughts. The friends gave many gold coins to the old woman to persuade her. The old woman felt ashamed to see all those gold coins and lowered her head, saying, I work day and night for a single black coin, and these gold coins far exceed my expectations. I truly don't know how to thank you for this. She continued, now that you have made me feel so ashamed, I will do everything I can for you, even if it costs me my life. I am already a member of your group, so we may either succeed in our goal or fail. Either way, I am committed. The gardener then requested the old woman to present the bouquet he had made to the lady and inform him of the lady's reaction. The old woman agreed to the request. The next morning, the gardener carefully handpicked the flowers and arranged them in a way that resembled a lady's face. He then wrote the lady's name on top of the bouquet. The arrangement was so remarkable that anyone who saw it was captivated and impressed. When the old woman presented the gift to the lady, she was unable to find anything to compare its beauty to. The lady was astonished to see her face reflected in the flowers and her name written on the bouquet. As she inhaled the fragrance of the flowers, she couldn't help but fall in love with the creator of such a beautiful arrangement. The lady said to the old woman, who made this bouquet, he has truly made love overpower my wisdom, and even now my life is a hostage in his intrigue. Bring him here to visit me so I can see him. The old woman realized that it was a good time to find her own benefit in this story, and said to the angel-faced woman, O lady, you are like the sun that kings wish to meet. It is not appropriate that every beggar gets a chance to see your beautiful face. However, the lady could not listen to these words and be convinced, as her heart wanted to see the decorator of that bouquet anyway. The old woman kept making excuses to dissuade the lady from this visit. Finally, the old woman was able to prepare the lady's mind for the main topic. But before telling the truth, she got a guarantee from the lady that her life would not be in danger. Then she explained the secret of the strange man, who had fallen in love with a stone idol, and how the young man's love had caused chaos. At the end, she said, but you can, with your own words, extinguish the fire of this love. The lady then said to the old woman, go and tell that lover, don't think that I was caught like a deer in the snare of your love. There are very brave men who remain like lions, but they are like dogs at my gate. Before this crazy love leads to scandal, do something that maybe I can become your accomplice. The old woman returned home, happy and dancing, and shared the good news of the lady's satisfaction with her accomplices. It was like a rain-filled cloud falling on a dry desert. The 5 friends were overjoyed, and the old woman seemed rejuvenated by happiness. They discussed once more how they could reach the castle. Finally, they disclosed their plan to the old woman and assured her that they could provide all the necessary means to reach the castle. However, they needed to ensure that the lady wouldn't disclose their arrival at the castle to avoid trouble. The old woman went back to the lady and shared the story to mitigate any confusion and discord. The lady reassured the old woman and instructed the young friends to provide all the necessary means to reach the tower. The young people were elated and gathered together that night to review the detailed steps to reach the castle. The gardener declared, "I have done everything in my power so far, and I will continue to do my best." The digger man proposed, "I can break the soil and create a passage from under the castle to construct a tunnel under that tower, reaching as high as the moon." The carpenter added, "If your shovel clears the way, I will enter the castle with a clever trick." The merchant chimed in, "We are all in agreement. While you are working diligently towards this goal, I will also support you with my wealth to ensure our friend reaches their beloved." With their plan finalized that night, they went to bed and fell asleep. When the sun rose from the depths of the earth and emerged from the sky, the merchant arose and constructed a house encircling the castle with walls made of water and mud, concealing the rooms within each other to safeguard the secrecy of the events unfolding in the mansion. Once the construction was completed, the companions entered the rooms and commenced their operation in one of the most secluded chambers. The excavator began digging to create an underground passage leading to the tower. His pickaxe cut through the rock and soil with remarkable force until it reached the precise location where the lady's portico rested on a wooden pillar. Subsequently, the carpenter proceeded to hollow out the wooden column, using his sharp iron tool to carve a path within its core. Initially, he crafted a doorway within the wooden pillar, followed by the construction of a staircase inside the pillar, ascending to the roof of the mansion. Upon completing his task, he returned to the old woman and urged her to approach the lady once more to ascertain her commitment to the agreement. "If she upholds her end of the bargain, we shall unveil the passage to the lady, otherwise, the secret shall remain undisclosed." The old woman went to the lady again, and when she saw that the situation was right, she informed the lady about the secret passage and said, if the lady is still true to her promise, she should hit the floor of the corridor with her foot so that the opening will be revealed. The lady kicked the floor of the corridor. Suddenly, the carpenter appeared and greeted the lady. The lady said, "O skilled and intelligent man, who opened the way to my mansion so skillfully. How can I reward you for this action? If you want, I want to host you in this mansion, and if you want to go back to your friends, I will come to you at the appropriate time." The carpenter said, "O well-behaved lady, although you are kind to me and made me worthy to be a guest in your court, your lover is someone else. If it happens that you two lovers meet, then I will pray for your happiness." He said these words to the lady and then returned home that way. The lady again put the sticks on the hole and covered it with clothes. She called the old woman and gave her a special ring to give to the prince as a sign of congratulations and to convey this message to him: "Tonight I am waiting for you, O friend whom I have not seen, but still I am your friend and lover." The elderly flower seller was overjoyed and went to the prince. The prince, still unaware of the story, was surprised and ecstatic upon seeing the ring and the message, and began dancing. They then took him to a house with rooms inside, where they washed his body with water and perfume, dressed him in a silk garment, and led him to the hall. As the night passed, the lady opened the door, and the prince entered the portico like a hungry lion approaching a deer pasture. The two friends who had fallen in love without seeing each other now had the chance to gaze upon one another. The prince beheld his beloved's face for the first time, and felt like a thirsty lip finally reaching the fountain of life. He embraced her tightly, and that night, they made love until the rooster crowed. As the sunbeams illuminated the gate, the lady stood alone like a full moon, while the prince retreated to the corridor like a black dragon. The following night, the prince visited the lady through the same secret passage, embracing and kissing her until morning, reveling in each other's company as lovers. This story continued for several nights, and the friendship between the two people grew stronger than before. The prince went to his friends and praised their loyalty, saying, "Your loyalty to me is beyond imagination. Now that my love for the lady has completely heated up, help me so that this love does not cool down again. I think it is better to steal the bride before news of this scandal spreads in the city and puts us in danger." The merchant replied, "Do not worry, friend. We have come this far and successfully reached the Moon Lady. Our work will be in order from now on, and we will not return from this blessed land empty-handed. It is not honorable for us to take the lady away secretly like thieves. Let us bring her to the king's party like a full moon." That night, all 5 friends agreed to carry out the new plan, and went to sleep happily, discussing their plan with the lady the next morning. The lady said, "If this is your decision, I will also play my role in this story, even if it may cost me my life." So, when they were relieved about the lady's company, the merchant went to the king with many gifts. Those gifts were so valuable and unique that the king was amazed. The king said, "This gift and gem and treasure are expensive. Why are they being offered to me? Tell me, what do you want from me for these gifts?" The merchant replied, "May the king's fortune always be long and fruitful and your government eternal. I am a merchant who came here from my land. Wherever I go, I get to know the nobles of that country, and after I have visited that country, I go to the king of that land to get to know him. I am very fond of guests, and I want the king to bless me and be my precious guest." The king saw that the man was very warm and kind, so he was ashamed to decline his invitation to the party. He said to the merchant, "Go home and prepare a table for a feast. I will come to you soon." The merchant returned home and arranged a party in one of the 7 porticos that resembled the 8 heavens. As night fell, the sky shed its indigo attire for black, and the king graced the merchant's abode. The merchant extended his congratulations to the king and offered water and wine as a gesture of welcome. Accompanying the king were 2 of his relatives. The sound of tambourines filled the hall as the king indulged in pure wine, cup after cup, feeling the heat in his head as he grew slightly intoxicated. It was then that they summoned the Moon Lady to descend from the tower and grace the gathering with her presence. In the midnight hour, the guests were treated to the sight of the silver-toned lady, who captivated them with her charm and elegance in a black gown. The party seemed to glow with the radiance of the sun as the lady engaged in conversation with the guests, hosts, and musicians. Those who held wine-filled cups found themselves intoxicated, their hearts swayed by the enchanting presence of the moon-like figure, akin to a wild horse breaking free from its reins, yearning to gallop towards the lady's allure. When the beautiful idol approached the king, he was initially captivated by her gaze and then amazed. He thought to himself, "God, is this my beloved or am I mistaken? If she is indeed my beloved, how could she descend from the castle tower? How can the moon from the sky descend to touch the earth? If this woman is not my beloved, a face as radiant as the moon is deserving to be my bride." Finally, unable to bear it any longer, he instructed one of the attendants to search for his lover in the tower. Meanwhile, the lady swiftly entered the hall like the wind, ascended the stairs, reached the porch, concealed the entrance to the hall, changed her attire, and lay down on the bed. When the king's agent arrived at the lady's porch, he beheld her serene countenance in slumber. Subsequently, the agent returned to the king and reported that the lady was asleep in her chamber. The king, reassured, indulged in another cup of fine wine. However, he yearned to gaze upon the angelic face once more. The lady was granted a second chance to attend the gathering and entertain the guests. As the morning light pierced through the darkened sky, the king, despite his hangover, desired to drink again, captivated by the memory of that angelic visage. Despite dreaming of making love with the previous night's host, the mistress awaited him, but the king missed her. He spent the day with the lady until midday, then returned to his palace and encountered the merchant once more. With a longing to see the beautiful woman in his heart, he insincerely told the merchant, "I may attend your party," while secretly desiring to see the woman. This time, he covertly joined the celebration. Once again, the evening was filled with entertainment. The lady was adorned in a gold dress from head to toe, shining like a candle in the gathering. The king gazed at the sun-like face, stunned by its beauty, completely forgetting about his lover. He stared at the lady until dawn. When daylight broke, he hurried to the tower and found his lover asleep in bed. He thought to himself, "My eyes must have deceived me. My lover is more beautiful than the wine butler from last night." He rested briefly next to his lover before waking up. The lady with the moon-like face also woke up from her slumber, and began to complain to the king about why he didn't visit her the previous night. The king apologized to the lady with not just one heart, but 100 hearts. The Story of the Pomegranate Garden Part 2. When nightfall obscured the sun, the king attended the merchant's party once more. The host warmly welcomed the guest. Amidst the festivities, a coquettish lady in a green dress greeted the guest with a glass of wine. The green dress adorning the lady's figure was akin to a striking hedge in a garden wall. Captivated by the smiling countenance of the green-clad maiden, the king fell in love with her, not with one heart, but with 100 hearts. It felt as though a beggar had come to plead. He pondered to himself, "As a king, I should feel ashamed to harbor such a capricious and rebellious heart. I have several handmaidens resembling angels in the palace, yet here I am yearning for a rosy-cheeked lady. If I were to forcefully claim this beauty as mine, I would be acting irrationally. However, if I endure this unrequited love, my heart will suffer." Thus, he spent the night drowning his sorrows in wine. Come morning, he hastened to the tower and found his beloved at home. This story continued for 7 nights, and every night the lady deceived the king in a new dress. The king was consumed by lust, but 5 friends were diligently working on their plan. The distance from the merchant's house to the edge of the sea was a league, and the necessary preparations for the journey were made step by step. The merchant approached the king to bid farewell and said, "I hope you will reign in eternal power. We have been like servants in your court, and if you permit us, we would like to take our leave from your presence. While we have been content in the king's land and the king has been very gracious to us, it is not prudent for a merchant to hold on to wealth indefinitely. We must engage in trade with gold coins, and now we must seek profit through sea trade. Therefore, we must depart from this city. We leave behind the remaining merchandise, as well as the lady who served as the bartender at the evening party, in the king's trust. Hopefully, when we return to this land, we will reclaim this trust from the king." Upon learning that the lady bartender would remain in the land, the king became enraged and was tempted to act impulsively. However, he managed to compose himself, and instead presented the merchant with some treasures, and provided them with travel provisions. He then closely monitored the departure of the young men as they boarded the ship and left the land, with the intention of later visiting the merchant's house to seize the lady, as if conquering a new territory and exacting tribute from it. So, the 5 friends boarded the ship, but before that, they had secretly brought the lady to the ship in the cargo boxes. The ship in the sea split the water with the force of the wind. On the other side, the king was riding a horse, hurrying towards the merchant's house. He looked like someone thirsty and searching for a mirage in the desert. He hurriedly entered the merchant's house, thinking he would find that angelic face. Surprisingly, the house was empty. He went to the hall where he had been received on previous nights, hoping to see the host lady. He visited every room, porch, and roof, but found no trace of the lady. He searched all the guest rooms and put his head in every corridor. Finally, He reached a room with 7 more rooms inside and then found a cave-like corridor. He hurriedly entered that channel until he reached the stairs and went to the top of the tower. To his surprise, there was no trace of his lover, and he died longing for her. The lady and the prince were happy with their love and thanked God for their good fortune. They remembered the old flower seller, who had been the cause of their marriage. When Gordia's story ended, Bahram said, "It was a wise story. Perhaps we also have an idol at home that we must take care of to keep it safe from others. This old man's idol is this garden and his daughters, and my idol is this country and its people. As the previous kings have said, may God keep this country safe from enemies, drought, and lies."